Lacey thought carrying a married man's child meant she had finally won. She had no idea. She was carrying the beginning of her own nightmare. The moment Lacey told the married man she was pregnant, everything changed. Within weeks, he asked Grace for a divorce. Grace couldn't believe it. She cried. She begged him to think about their two little children, but his heart was already somewhere else. A few weeks later, Grace packed her clothes, held her two children by the hand, and quietly walked out of the house. She didn't scream, she didn't fight, she didn't curse Lacey. As she reached the gate, she stopped. She turned around, looked at Lacey, and softly said, I hope one day you find the happiness you're looking for. Then she walked away. Lacey smiled. She believed Grace had finally accepted defeat. She had no idea. Grace wasn't walking away because she was weak. She was walking away from a battle that no longer belonged to her. A few months after Grace left, Lacey got everything she had dreamed of. She wore the white dress. She smiled for the cameras. She exchanged vows with the man she believed had chosen her over everyone else. As guests applauded, Lacey believed she had finally won. Lacey married the man. Still carrying his child, she moved into the same beautiful house she had admired for years. The expensive furniture, the flashy lifestyle, the beautiful home. Everything Grace once had now belonged to her. Lacey believed she had finally won until she met her mother-in-law. The old woman rarely smiled. Whenever she looked at Lacey, it felt as though she could see straight into her soul. One afternoon, the old woman held Lacey's hand, smiled strangely, and whispered, Some things are never truly stolen. They always demand a price. Lacey laughed nervously. She convinced herself the old woman simply didn't like her. Then, one stormy night, while she was still pregnant, Lacey suddenly woke up. There was a strange sound coming from the corner of the bedroom. She slowly opened her eyes. A massive black snake was silently crawling across the floor. Terrified, she screamed. Her husband jumped out of bed, grabbed a heavy stick, and struck the snake over and over again until it stopped moving. The next morning, Lacey couldn't stop thinking about what had happened. Something about that snake didn't feel ordinary, so they visited their pastor. The elderly pastor listened carefully without saying a word. Then he asked only one question. Who killed the snake? Lacey's husband slowly raised his hand. The pastor closed his eyes. He sighed deeply. Then he quietly said, I wish you hadn't. Lacey's heart began to race. She asked, Pastor, what do you mean? The pastor looked directly at her, then replied, Not every snake comes from the forest. Some are sent. Go home. Pray without ceasing, because your greatest battle has only just begun. They left the church confused. Neither of them understood what the pastor meant. Weeks later, Lacey went into labor. The delivery was long, painful, and exhausting. Finally, the baby arrived. The child survived the delivery, but what the doctors discovered left the entire family speechless. To be continued. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to follow this page so you don't miss episode 3. Now tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? I'd love to know where everyone is watching from.